Hey guys, okay, let's discuss something that I hear a lot of airsofters talking about. I hear about it every now and then at the field, I read about it in my comment section, sometimes, and unfortunately I've seen videos of what some may call evidence here on YouTube. I'm talking about how HPA is ruining airsoft. It hits too hard, it shoots way too fast, and it's just not fair. It's ruining my fun, and it seems like everyone who uses HPA is an asshole. Not my words, but you get the picture. First off, I don't agree with any of that, but I do want to sympathize with those who are struggling, having a less than favorable time, and seeking answers for their problems. I believe HPA is getting a bad rep. I also believe there are certain airsoft short clips here on YouTube that only amplify that belief. Airsoft fights, people playing a little too intensely, you get the picture. I'm worried it's gotten to a point where some people see an HPA user and just immediately assume they play unfairly. While I understand it's easy to blame HPA as the problem, just as like some overall blanket statement, I do think people are forgetting the root of the issue. It's the people, or the person using that HPA. It's the user. Real quick, HPA in a nutshell is more efficient than an AEG. Less moving parts, theoretically no wear and tear, it can be made to shoot faster without damaging anything like internal components, and certainly can be adjusted to hit dangerously hard at the simple twist of PSI adjustment. The point I'm willing to concede is that it's much easier to abuse HPA, or the power of air, than it is to spend money and time abusing a harder spring, gears, and a more powerful motor inside of an AEG. Here comes my side of the argument. We're locked into an age of consumerism. We see something big, shiny, fast, powerful, or just prestigious in some way, it becomes desirable. HPA guns are marketed not just for their efficiency, but for things like their rate of fire. And for some reason, people get really fixated on how fast they can shoot. Hopefully, for no other reason than just to flex on others. However, people lack self-control. And when you put something in their hands that's capable of what's beyond their self-control, they hurt others, or themselves. Imagine giving a 16-year-old a Lamborghini, and let's just say, for a day, there were no road signs displaying the speed limit. You see, I would drive the Lamborghini carefully, still, because I know it has the potential to lose traction and control if I abuse its power. I could crash and die, or seriously hurt or kill somebody. A 16-year-old, or maybe someone who lacks the life experience or proper etiquette behind the wheel, will be more fascinated in testing the vehicle's limits. They drive fast, it feels fun, and, well, why not? The car was built to be powerful, so why wouldn't they use that power if they had the chance? The same way of thinking applies to HPA guns in airsoft. If a field doesn't have any rules on full auto, do you think the average person who has little care for others is going to ease off the trigger? Now, I'm not saying young people can't use HPA because, let's be honest, much like cars, people of all ages and lack of self-control will abuse said thing. Young people aren't the problem, it's just unfortunately an often easy example to make. I think it's a problem between two particular things: lack of restriction at the manufacturer level and lack of enforcement at the airsoft field. Let's talk about the former. For example, when a company releases an HPA engine, those engines come with an FCU. On the FCU, you can set your RPS, or rounds per second. Why in the world would it be okay to have an FCU capable of adjusting an RPS to 60? That's 60 rounds per second. And yes, I know, good luck finding a mag that can feed that fast. Although maybe an electronic drum mag could feed that fast, so it's potentially doable. But why? Why? Because it can? That's the problem. HPA is advertised incorrectly, or at least glorified incorrectly. Or on social media, it might be. I love HPA because it's efficient and easy to use, while others might like HPA because it shoot fast. Again, let's give the Lamborghini to the kid who's only driven the shopping cart for mommy at the grocery store. As much as I love companies like Polar Star, who has blessed airsoft with such a beautiful engine like the Kythera, which, by the way, only shoots semi-auto, why are they giving away unrestricted power to immature kids or man-children that have no self-control? Yet, I'm on the side of the fence that says there's nothing wrong with a little flex here and there. You want to dial it up to 60 and just quickly show your friends something completely bananas? Do it. It'll be funny. But the moment you think it's okay to shoot 60 RPS during a game, what are you doing? That's scummy, and on top of that, if you're not breaking any rules because your field allows that sort of thing to happen during game time, your field is shit. The owner or admins that run that place have no concern for safety, regardless of the type of airsoft gun you're using. Fields that don't chronograph often or at all, and also don't have limits on RPS, are just bad. They're trash. So, when you put unrestricted power like HPA into the hands of an immature or inexperienced player, field owners don't realize the damage they're doing to the overall community. It's so unbelievably easy to fix the HPA problem. You chrono all HPA, and if they shoot faster than a certain RPS during game time, that user gets punished. That's it. People who lack self-control with the powerful toys they own, whether it be a car or an airsoft gun, will be punished. So why do people still think HPA is just bad? Just like all of it bad. Who are these people talking? Who is they? How many of them are there? Is it just one guy who's really loud, or is it just like a lot of people? Are they educated on HPA, or did they all just watch one video of the same airsoft fight and say HPA is cancer? I use HPA, and even when I still had my F2, I almost never used full auto. And no, of course, I would never abuse my air pressure. And I'm not the only one who uses HPA strictly because I appreciate HPA for its efficiency and ease of use. So does that still make me cancerous? Am I bad for airsoft? Am I ruining your experience? Or do you think it's just those bad apples that not only don't deserve their HPA guns, but probably don't deserve to play airsoft in general? Videos on YouTube glorify events like airsoft fights or the abuse of HPA guns. Nobody glorifies that one guy who was just really nice and careful, obeyed the rules and didn't go crazy with HPA. That's not very memorable. Think about it. People don't watch the news because little Timmy got an A on his math test and nothing bad happened today in the Amazon rainforest. No, tragedy, death, hurricanes, or even just a simple car chase is what people remember. So when people hear about or see that one dude who went crazy with his HPA gun and really hurt a kid, that's not fair for the rest of us. You don't hear about the rest of us. So yes, HPA gets a bad rep. It's not the norm. It's a different way to play airsoft, and therefore it gets its own little spotlight here on social media. Nobody's gonna just start saying AEGs are bad for airsoft because AEGs were here first. I mean, there's no way an AEG could be bad or abused to shoot super fast or excessively hard. That is what I call sarcasm. It's the user. Always has been, always will be. Call it immaturity, lack of self-control, disregard for safety, whatever you want. That is what gives airsoft a bad rep, not HPA. HPA, much like an AEG, is just a tool the undeserving use to ruin things for others. So, as much as I want to sympathize with those who have had a bad experience involving HPA, it goes deeper than that. I'm not going to predict the future, but don't be surprised if 90% or more airsofters turn to HPA one day. Even rentals wouldn't surprise me. Just depends on the technology, or even something as simple as all air tanks being fit into the stock for cheap. Currently, that's an expensive modification, much like the rest of HPA. HPA is amazing, and I praise it whenever I can, especially when people ask me about my gun at the field. But before you feel like going HPA, check yourself. And before you feel like blaming HPA for all your problems, think about who's behind that perfectly innocent HPA gun. Bit more of a rant today, and I'm not sure if there was really any other way to do this sort of video. Anyway, what do you think? I personally haven't had any issues with HPA users at my field, or at least no behavior that wasn't easily corrected by refs or admin. Do you use HPA but also try to maintain the peace? What do you think the issue is? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Any further thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I know this is, for some reason, quite a deep issue for a lot of people. Alright guys, good talk as always, and I'll catch you next time.